I don't think Nolan's children would survive the Viltrumite adulthood initiation. Spoilers for Invincible, so if you haven't seen it, or if you're watching, go ahead and skedoodle because I want to talk about it. So let's start with Oliver. Oliver is far more confident in his strength and his abilities than he should be. I mean, can we blame him though? He clears out some of the lower level criminals easily with no competition, which just boosts his confidence, making him feel like he's more like Mark and Nolan than he really is. I mean, I get it, he's also a kid, so like he's still learning and growing and getting stronger. But when it comes to taking on bigger named enemies like Kursk, he starts getting knocked around a little bit more. But that's also with Mark there helping him, so they're able to end up taking out the enemies. But it shows that Oliver is lacking in that skill area of being able to fight. We're shown that he has the strength when he takes on the Mauler twins. He realizes how strong he is when he breaks the jaw of one of the Mauler twins and then punches through the other just to then uppercut decapitate the other Mauler twin. Oliver realizes with that moment just how strong he really is. And so he can clear out earthly problems pretty easily. But when it comes to facing threats like Viltrumites, he is severely outmatched. He's able to slightly hold his own ground within the Invincible War. He got knocked around a little bit, but then he got the assistance of other heroes. And with the other heroes, Oliver was not only able to save other civilians, but they were also able to take out one of the multi-dimensional Invincibles. So there's nothing that happened to Oliver within the Invincible War that would make him question his own abilities or strengths. If anything, it would bolster Oliver's confidence and make him feel like he's even more stronger and has even more ability because he survived the Invincible War. Out of all of the heroes to not survive, he was one of the people to make it out. So rightfully so, bolstered his confidence. But he had the help of others when he fought those Invincibles. By himself, he was getting smacked around a little bit. But then with Conquest arriving, while Mark is being smacked around by Conquest, Oliver tries to come and help Mark. After trying to get some hits in, Conquest smacks him around and nearly tears Oliver in half. Oliver got no diff like no other. And that should have taught Oliver that he is severely outmatched when it comes to other Viltrumites and even other species out there in the universe like Alan. And even after nearly dying to Conquest the first time, Oliver still rushes Conquest the second time when they meet again. And Oliver gets some pretty good little swift hits in, but almost gets his head popped like a melon. Knowing that he survives that encounter with Conquest, and he's going into a Viltrumite war, I just think Oliver needs to realize that he needs to go home. He is not ready for this Viltrumite war. But now let's talk about Mark. I don't think Mark would survive the Viltrumite adulthood initiation. Mark has won a lot of his fights on Earth. Granted, there are a few fights that he lost, like that one time when he held tight and tried to take out Machine Head and he lost the Battle Beast. Mark is both strong and skilled when it comes to fighting. He's got a little bit of experience, but he's definitely still a new hero and he's definitely still growing and getting stronger, especially when he gets adrenaline. But if we look at his track record with Viltrumite fights, he has lost every time. The first Viltrumite he fought was Nolan, and well, he barely survived that fight. The only reason he survived was because of Nolan's sympathy and him sparing Mark's life. And then we flash forward to season 2 when Mark is on Thraxa and 3 of the Viltrumites arrive and Mark ends up fighting Thula. Mark got smacked around a lot in this fight, but when his adrenaline kicked in, he got in some really good decent hits. And he had this moment of being able to take out Thula, but he hesitated. So he could have won that fight. And by some accounts, you could say that he did. But the fact that he hesitated in a life or death situation and he got stabbed by hesitating, he loses that fight. Thula almost finished Mark off, but is saved by Nolan in the last second. And when General Krieg ends up showing up and taking Thula, Lucan, and Nolan's body back onto their ship and they dip out, some surviving Thraxans find Mark and they revive him. Without those Thraxans, Mark probably would have bled out. But then Mark fights Anissa. After Anissa helps Mark take out that water kaiju and she helps him take the boat back to land, and they get into a fight because Mark tells her no to their deal about the Viltrumites coming to Earth. And her butt whooping was a real whooping. And that was only a warning for Mark. So he survived that because her goal wasn't to kill Mark. That butt whooping was a warning. She also forewarned that another agent of Viltrum would end up coming their way here, and he was not going to be as merciful as Anissa. So that's 3 Viltrum fights where Mark has lost all 3 of them. And then we have the 2 fights against Conquest. Mark did a pretty good job in holding his own, but even by the end of the fight, he was about to get got by Conquest. That wasn't until Eve revived herself and shot the giant beam at Conquest, burning his body. Mark Mark took advantage of this opening and got the upper hand on Conquest. And after head bashing him a whole bunch of times, Mark was under the impression that he killed Conquest. He didn't, because he sees Conquest in space in season 4. And while he kills Conquest this time, he almost dies a second time to Conquest. The first time he had a little bit of help from Oliver, who was more of a distraction than anything else, and then Mark got some major help from Eve. And even though Eve technically died in that fight, she was revived, and the beam that shot Conquest was one of the only reasons that Mark survived that fight. And the second time he fought Conquest and he almost died there, he would have died if Oliver and Nolan did not show up when they did. While I think that Nolan's children wouldn't survive an Viltrumite adulthood initiation, that is purely in the thought process of them being as they are now. Do I think they would survive the initiation if they grew up on Viltrum? Not both of them, no. But what Mark and Oliver lack in strength, they make up for with the desire to do good and be better. But those are just my thoughts on why I think Oliver and Mark would not survive the Viltrumite adulthood initiation. Do you think Mark and Oliver would be able to pass their adulthood initiation? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know.